Hey everybody, it is Taylor of Summer Del Sol here. Today I'm focusing on what's really left to do on the car. So I want to get a consolidated list of everything that needs to be done in order to get this car street legal as quickly as possible.
And as you can see, even though the car runs and drives, there's still plenty to do. So since I have it on hand already, I'm going to go ahead and install the radiator fan today. And it just so happens to be the path of least resistance. The rest of my list is basically everything I don't want to do. So to hop right into it, I mocked up the fan, decided to put it in the center for now since I'm only going to be running one. We'll see what the summer months have to say about that later, but for now, it should do.
Ooh, my back. Oh, my back. Okay, so after a little bit of research, I've come to find I want to mount these via the similar zip tie method. So I'll be attaching those through the radiator, and the actual connection I'll be using is not the passenger side clip. Basically, this is the one I don't want to use. This is the AC option here, which can kick on in a pinch, but I think I do have enough airflow to keep the car cool for now. So I'm going to go ahead and start by using the actual driver's side fan and pull this clip from the old fan and plug that up to make sure I can splice this. I'll start with one. If I need to get a little bit more cooling in the summer, I'll probably take it off and get a second fan. But for now, I'm just going to simplify.
Okay, so to mock this up, let's have the perspective that my arm is the engine bay side of the radiator. I slid 4 clips on here to make sure they were sitting flush with the face of the fan. And with that fully in place, I then add a pad there because that's what's going to rest against the radiator fins. Now, I had a problem with the spring that goes on here, but in theory, this spring goes on the back here, and this comes back behind the radiator fan to go through the fins of the radiator and leading to the front. With the zip tie-like component through the fins, you can then put a pad on the front-facing clasp, and then you'll slide that through, locking that in place on your radiator. In theory, at least if you didn't buy a cheap kit like I did.
So of course along the way, in terms of researching how to install this, I'm realizing I really should have put this on when I had the radiator off quite some time ago. But you know, why start doing things the easy way when I can continue to do them the incredibly difficult way? Here we go.
So to put this all to practice, I clipped the old line off the previous fan. Next, I X-Acto knifed the plastic off the wires because I'm too cheap to buy a wire stripper. After my artistry was completed, I was ready to attempt to crimp these wires together. Brace yourselves, it is not pretty. We'll just pick up the other tool that's not meant for this and give it a little pinch. Nothing to see here. Move along. Now with the fan theoretically wired, I was ready to start the install. As I mentioned before, with the radiator installed, this definitely made for a trickier task. I had to get a little creative here and try to hang on to things as best I could while I was arranging this. The goal was to get this as centered as possible for a good mock-up before installing. With the first one successfully through, it's time to give my right hand a break because it is cramping. I tried my best to eyeball where those mounting locations were going and if they were level, but it was pretty tough from the inside. And well, it's not quite where I'd like it to be, if my face wasn't making it obvious. Yep, you gotta scoot it, because it'll drive you nuts if you don't. After raising the side on the right just a hair, I stuck an old piece from the Miata in there to see if it was level, and I think it looks pretty good. Next, I slid the locking mechanism in place, but I ended up getting too much resistance from the spring on the other side, so it wasn't sitting flush. And then this happened. What? So, for the sake of the video, I'm just going to clip what I got on here and definitely come back and replace these later. Big yikes. With this, for the most part, installed, all that's left is now to plug it up. I think. I still don't really know what to do about all this wiring. But for now, I'm going to take it off my list and call it a day. As always, thank you guys so much for watching and following along. I love having you here with me, and I will catch you next time.